We have a shocking Oiler update coming out of Dallas today as the Oilers' depth could be tested for Game 1 against the Dallas Stars in Game 1 of the Western Conference Final. All that more today on Oilers Digest as we take a look into that news for today and exactly how do these Oilers match up with the Stars tonight. We'll take a look at the line combinations and the starting goaltenders, but we are 21 subscribers away from 3,200 on the road to 4,000. So if you haven't done so already, folks, make sure you hit that button down below and subscribe to Oilers Digest for any and all Oiler news. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's just drop the puck already. We've been waiting nearly a week. It's been, a week since Kasperi Kapanen's overtime winner against the Vegas Golden Knights and the Oilers in Stars 10 at the American Airlines Center there, 7 o'clock Central, 6 o'clock Mountain on Sportsnet. Now we are waiting for, Game 1 tonight, and Connor McDavid, he's ready for this to get underway. And, he's been asked so many times, the difference between these Oilers and Stars teams compared to last year. We've been through it, in round one against the Kings, McDavid and Draisaitl, all the Oilers from that 2022 series, the first one against the Kings, were asked about how they felt about the Kings, going into that one, just nothing but, comparisons. But Connor McDavid is ready to get into this one, says there's a few different players playing the series, obviously, but in a lot of ways, it's very similar. Same coaches, same systems. We haven't changed much. Obviously, they haven't changed much. Ranton's playing great. The goalie's playing great. They got a tough back end. The list goes on and on of things they do well. They're a good team. It'll be a great test. Now, folks, we have some good news and some bad news from Tony Brar. Mattias Ekholm has made the trip down to Dallas. Not expected to play games 1 or 2, but a very encouraging sign and boost that he's with the team, back in, March and April when we weren't expecting Mattias Ekholm to, potentially play a single playoff game for the Edmonton Oilers. But of course, a few days ago we had the Bob Stoff report that we probably won't see Mattias Ekholm until later on in the series, maybe game 4, game 5, or game 6. It's all up in the air at this point, but a very encouraging sign to see Mattias Ekholm on the ice with the Oilers. And he made the trip, didn't wasn't stranded in Edmonton home alone style. He made the trip with the team there, and again, very encouraging. Now that's the good news, but the bad news, unfortunately, Connor Brown was not on the ice this morning. He's had a few maintenance days, after the Vegas series, but not on the ice tonight with Victor Arvidsson in his spot on the third line with Evander Kane and Adam Henrique, and the rest of the lines in pairs remain the same. And Bouchard added on here, Knoblauch says Brown is a game time decision. If it won't be Brown, of course, it will be Victor Arvidsson there. And Kris Knoblauch, doesn't matter who you put in that spot. Knoblauch is keen on his lineup tonight. Again, a test of the Oilers' depth there with Connor Brown 4th in Oiler goals during this playoff run there. Not just, an integral part of the bottom 6, but also on the penalty kill there. And he only plays 15 minutes tonight, and he does a whole lot in that span there. Not just, Connor Brown, but again, you don't see, Connor McDavid in this list anymore there. So you have, Corey Perry, Evander Kane, and Evan Bouchard in Leon Draisaitl. But the main man, the man of the hour, Connor Brown, 4 goals in 11 games played during these playoff runs, and not just the goals, but again, like I said, the PK. One that, the Oilers have been struggling throughout the playoffs, but Connor Brown in Mattias Janmark, going back to last year, they are very important in that playoff penalty kill. But when it comes to Victor Arvidsson, Knoblauch is confident in him, says he'll be ready and has looked good in practice. I know the amount of games he's played and how well he's done. Not having him in the lineup with everyone available has been a difficult decision as it is. So if someone is not able to play, I have no hesitation to have him in the lineup there. That just goes to show how good this Oiler team is, where Victor Arvidsson is an extra forward. Not just him, but another guy like Jeff Skinner. But you've heard me go on and on about the fact that Kris Knoblauch has Jeff Skinner in his doghouse. No matter how many extended conversations they have at morning skates in practices, I don't think, barring injuries, knock on wood, barring any injuries, we won't see Jeff Skinner for the rest of the playoff run there. But just taking a look at Victor Arvidsson, very quiet. And I mean, 4 points in 9 games, that's quiet by his standards, considering what he's done with the LA Kings against the Oilers and all the playoff matchups that they've had together there. But, Victor Arvidsson, his time on ice ranges anywhere from 7 minutes to 11, so not big time minutes there. So hopefully, that rest could lead to something big for the Oilers tonight in Game 1 against Dallas if he does crack the lineup there. And I mean, the analytics from Arvidsson, they're not the worst, but I mean, it could be a little better. They're outscoring the opposition 5-3 when he's on the ice. And I mean, I kind of sounded disrespectful towards Arvidsson there, but again, the season that he's had, what he was brought into this Oiler team for, you expect just a little more out of Victor Arvidsson, but beggars cannot be choosers. Again, the fact that he's like a 13th, 14th forward on this team, that's a very deep lineup for all the complaints that people have had regarding this Oiler team. Old, slow, and just doesn't have the juice. But you've seen them in that Vegas series there. They are a team on a mission. Just taking a look at the rest of the lines and pairings for the Edmonton Oilers. Again, it does remain the same except for Connor Brown in that third line right wing spot. It's got the triangle there for the game time decision there, and it's just up and down the lineup. That is a team, again, with its sights set on Lord Stanley Cup, despite the fact that the other team in this series also has their sights set on revenge against this Oiler team from last year. Of course, the defensive repairings do remain the same there. No Ekholm there, and Kulak, Bouchard, Nurse and Stetcher, and then Wallman in Klingberg there. John Klingberg playing his former team in the Dallas Stars. Now Stuart Skinner gets the start tonight again, and he's got currently has the fourth longest shutout streak in Oilers postseason history. There are 47 shots in his back-to-back shutouts there in 127 minutes in 20 seconds. There is his shutout streak there, and hopefully that continues for a little while longer there against these Dallas Stars tonight. But just taking a look at the Dallas Stars, they're a new look Stars team compared to yesterday's video when I showed the projected lineups. Now Pete DeBoer has gotten in the lab and he's trying to cook something to spark up this Dallas depth here on the front line with Mikael Granlund, Rupe Hintz, and Mikko Rantanen. Hintz and Rantanen, I've said time and time again, those are the two the Oilers need to keep an eye on desperately there, with a new look second line with Jason Robertson, Matt Duchene, and Wyatt Johnston there. I mean, in that bottom nine there, Johnston has pretty much been the only forward that's done anything, and the rest just haven't been up to snuff there. And then Mason Marchman, Sam Steele, and Tyler Seguin, and then Jamie Benn on the fourth line with Oscar back inserted back into the lineup there. The Stars going 12-6 in favor of 11-7 like they have been the past few games. They're sort of work Miro Heiskanen back into the rotation with Evgeny Dadonov as the fourth line right wing. And of course, when it comes to Mikko Rantanen, Jake Wallman was asked about how do you contain him. It's very hard to contain a guy like Mikko Rantanen on the ice, but Jake Wallman just kept it short, sweet, and simple. So it's kind of always knowing where a guy like him is on the ice. He can kind of get lost, so just being aware and knowing who you're out against. We saw Jake Wallman, crush Mikko Rantanen twice in Rantanen's first game as a Star back in March there. So lots of history between those two in a very short span of time on the back end there. Thomas Harley and Miro Heiskanen with S. Lindell and Cody Ceci, former Oiler, and then Leon Bichel and Alex Petrovic, also another former Oiler there. So outside of Harley and Heiskanen, it's, not the strongest decor out of this Stars team. So the Oilers do have to feast on that. But I mean, the last line of defense is the most important one for these Dallas Stars, and it is Jake Onger, who's currently rocking a .919 save percentage and a 2.47 goals against average there. He's been, one of the best goalies in the playoffs. I think he's the best goalie left. We also saw Freddie Anderson get lit up last night in Carolina there. So Jake Onger is clearly the clear-cut number one best goalie left in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, of course, the Oilers did crack Onger, but Onger, he's got that chip on his shoulder, trying to get revenge on the Oilers for last year. But not just the goalie, but everything has to align for the Stars to even have a hope of beating the Oilers. But one way they could do it is on the special teams. If the Oilers keep it 5-on-5, they have a very good chance. But one way the Stars could creep into this one that the Oilers have to keep an eye on is special teams. The Stars have been good on special teams this postseason, ranking third among playoff teams, both for converting power plays, 30.8%, and on the PK, their power play is the best among any teams that played more than one round, and the only teams better on the penalty kill are Carolina and Florida, the only two teams left in the Eastern Conference. Meanwhile, Edmonton is at 25% on power plays and 66.7% on kills this postseason. So the Oilers have to get better at both ends of the ice on the special teams there. But I mean, this Oiler team is on a roll, 8-1 in their last 9 games, and who really is going to stop them? I mean, this is, bias speaking, out of the 4 teams, Edmonton with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid have the clear-cut advantage over anybody else. I mean, we've hardly seen these two, take over games completely like we have in years past, so I think they're saving the best for last. But that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what do you think about, the potential Arvidsson for Brown switch? Do you think that'll mess up, the potential, PK chemistry? But again, the Oilers, very deep. The fact that Victor Arvidsson is the 13th forward is just, tremendous work by the Oilers management team. But again, let me know your thoughts down in the comments, folks. Let's go Oilers. Let's get a Game 1 victory of the Oilers. Very solid in Game 1s these past couple of years compared to, 2017 to 2022 awful in Game 1s with the Oilers. Have learned to, start from the get-go. But also, make sure you subscribe here to the channel, folks. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, why haven't you done so? Make sure you hit it. Have a great day. Enjoy the game tonight. Let's go Oilers. Take care. I'm Matt.